stressed, overwhelmed, or frustrated? What does self-care look like? It looks like doing something to clear your mind, such as meditating, painting, making a playlist, going outside. You can also stay connected with friends and loved ones. If you feel alone, look for an online community with shared interests or volunteer to help people in need. And use virtual sessions to talk with a mental health professional. They're here to help. If you need support, call the Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. Brought to you by the state of Washington.
This is Brenda Charles Edwards, host of Seniors Matter. Join me every week to get information on activities and issues that impact the lives of older adults and their families. That's Seniors Matter every week on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Women are not an homogenous group.
We face discrimination differently depending on factors such as ethnicity, age, socioeconomic status, and more.
Rainier Avenue Radio is proud to amplify women's voices.
They are the experts of their own lives, initiating conversations within their community about challenges they face, the solutions they're working on, and the opportunities they see.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 for Women's Voices on Air. We know our challenges. We are the experts of our lives.
We are master multitaskers, prioritizing our family, friends, and our faith above our own needs.
Our needs and voices are too often overlooked.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. for Women's Voices on Air.
We tell our stories in our own way.
Welcome to the coronavirus pandemic. I'll take coronavirus for 100. Fever, chills, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell. What is stay at home and isolate? Correct. Coronavirus for 200. Inability to stay awake, persistent pain or pressure in chest, trouble breathing. What is seek immediate help? Correct.
Coronavirus for 500.
Crippling and potentially dead infectious disease eliminated in the United States with vaccination.
What is the polio vaccine?
Correct.
I'll take coronavirus for 700.
The Daily Double! Should I take the coronavirus vaccine? Wait. Hold up. This is not a game. It's time for serious decisions. We have coronavirus vaccines, but not everyone is comfortable taking them. Here's the facts. Based on what has been proven about vaccines, COVID-19 vaccine may help keep you from getting seriously ill, even if you do get the virus. Getting vaccinated also may protect people around, particularly those at greater risk for severe illness from COVID-19. We don't yet have all the answers. Get informed, talk to your healthcare physician, and make the right decision for you. This is a message supported by the Washington State Department of Health.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world is your 24/7 digital media hub. Tune in at Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and TuneIn apps.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. This is Afternoons with Monique, recording live in Seattle, Washington, every Thursday at 1 p.m.
Good afternoon, Seattle. You are on Rainier Avenue Radio with Monique Lee, host for the Afternoons with Monique. Tomorrow is April 30th, and that is a very special day for the Vietnamese American community across the world. April 30th, since 1975, has always been a day of remembrance for the Vietnamese community overseas. Since 1975, millions of Vietnamese refugees and immigrants have fled an oppressive regime in search of freedom, democracy, and happiness. I want to take a moment at the beginning of the show today to thank our South Vietnamese Army who fought heroically to try to preserve that freedom for Vietnam. I'm sorry. I want to thank our allies in the US who joined us in our efforts. And I also want to remember the hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese who lost their lives at sea. I want to thank America for this opportunity to be here. I'm sorry, I'm so emotional whenever April 30th come along. But give me a second to compose myself. Okay, that said, excuse me. Okay, we're back. So today I have the honor of having on my show Judge Larson of Federal Way Municipal Courts on Afternoons with Monique. Are you there, Judge Larson?
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry you had to see that little breakdown right there.
No,
I
that
didn't
means
expect
you have a heart and you have a soul and you care, and that's just good. I mean, it's those things that you care about are important, and it's always good to be able to show the truth. And the truth is, it means something. And so it's good that you were able to share and express your emotions like that. So I wish more people would do that, because we hide sometimes from those things. So I'm glad you did.
Thank you for your kind word. I know that you're traveling out of state, and you were kind enough to join us for today's show. Judge Larson, where are you right now?
Well, I'm actually at the Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona. I came down here for a little trip to actually see an airplane that my dad worked on in the Air Force back in the early 1950s, a B-36. There's only 4 left, and one of them's here. And so it's kind of on my bucket list to see them. And I took my dad to the Air Force Museum. And I think you have some pictures of that when I took him to see the other B-36. He passed away a number of years ago, so he wasn't able to come with me, obviously. But,
right.
But
well, we have some. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Actually, the people here were kind enough to. I'm in the director's office, and I wanted to because the director was kind enough. His name's Scott Marchand. He agreed to come on and 1 or 2 minutes share about the museum, what's here, and anybody from Seattle might be interested in coming down to see. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Please join us.
You want to just trade chairs? Here, let me slide in here. Hi, how you doing, Monique?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. So you are the director of the museum, plane museum, where Judge Larson's at?
Yeah. He introduced himself this morning, and it's a nice flexible day, so we're able to help him out here. What we're really happy to do. He's got a great story and a great message for everybody, and we're always happy to share what we do here with as many people as we can.
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, so we're probably the world's largest air and space museum that's outside of, say, a government system. We've got about 425 aircraft on display here on 90 acres, about 250,000 square feet of display space. And we cover all aircraft, air and space vehicles, all eras, all countries, all types, military, civil, commercial, experimental. So real diverse representation of human achievement in aerospace in the last 120 odd years.
And now, what city are you in?
We're in Tucson, Arizona, just about 90 minutes south of Phoenix.
Oh, very cool. Well, it's a great place. It looks like Judge Larson sent me a couple of photos earlier to show some of the planes that you guys got. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know. We've been working pretty hard over the years, and just following on your previous comments, we have quite an extensive collection of aircraft that served in the Vietnam conflict, and we have a number of volunteers and people here who had direct personal experience with that unfortunate time in our history too. So big shout out to you and everybody else. And I'm also an immigrant to the U.S., so I certainly understand your perspective.
Where were you from?
Oh, my journey was pretty simple. I just came south from Canada. But
okay, a very short trip.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing with us about your museum. It sounds like a great place to visit and learn about our nation's history.
Yeah, come on down. It's www.pimaair.org.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott. And Monique, you were very prepared. You had me send some photos and stuff, and I don't know if you wanted to share those or.
Oh yeah. Dan, would you mind pulling up the pictures that we submitted ahead? The series of pictures that I have prepared for us. Okay, so the first photo that we're showing here is Judge Larson's dad underneath. What is that airplane called?
That's the B-36. It's an airplane that has 6 28-cylinder engines and 4 jet engines. So that's him. He's about 5'11". You can see standing next to the landing gear. You can see
Right.
how immense that airplane is.
Right. Immense is the right word. He's,
Right.
I mean, he's what, 5'11", you said?
Yeah, and so that's and I was standing next. I was able to stand under the fuselage, and I'm 6'1", and I still had an
Wow.
inch or two above my head.
Right.
So,
Dan, would you show the next picture?
That's him and I in the cockpit of the Spruce Goose in McMinnville, Oregon. Now, you wanted me to know about things I do off the bench and aircraft, and my dad and I connected through aircraft. And this is the Spruce Goose, the airplane that Howard Hughes built, made out of wood, and it's in McMinnville, Oregon. And we took a trip down there, and we were able to get a picture in the cockpit. My dad wearing a Howard Hughes style hat there, and that picture, when my dad died, it was in the front of his wallet.
Right.
And now that same picture that was in the front of his wallet is in the front of my wallet, and it'll be there till the day I die. Because he meant a lot to me, and we connected through aircraft.
Yeah, you have some other hobbies. Well, the reason why I invited Judge Larson on the show is because, I've always, and I'm sure a lot of our audience would be curious, what do judges and justices do outside of, reading cases and judging on the bench? So I wanted to have a chance to interview Judge Larson and found out some of the very interesting and helpful services that he provided to the community outside of just being on the bench. So let's continue the slideshow, because today we have a slightly different format where we have a lot of photos that we prepared for the audience.
Now,
so the next one.
This is the B-29, the smaller aircrafts, the B-29. That's the same kind of aircraft that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. So
the smaller
one, the B-36, which is the aircraft my dad worked on in the early 50s, is next to it. And that's how much bigger that airplane was. It also carried nuclear weapons during the Korean War, but it never dropped it never saw battle. And that's fortunate, because those aircraft were a deterrent. They were, the idea is not to use them. And they were quickly replaced by other jet aircraft, but that aircraft is pretty amazing how big it was. So, anyway.
Yeah. So your dad was a serviceman in the Air Force. What was he?
Oh, he was a mechanic, and then he became a mechanic for Northwest Airlines for a number of years, and retired from Northwest Airlines, and which became part of Delta. But he and I connected through aircraft and cars. And
right.
So that's it's, even though he's passed away 8 years ago now, it's still the legacy of aircraft. And I try to go to as many air museums as I can, and try to connect with them still through that.
Right. And there's other interest that you also will share with our audience later on today that is pretty fascinating. So you also, do you have a pilot license?
No, I don't. I never got a pilot's license. My vision was too horrible back in the day, and I've never gotten one.
Oh, okay.
So, but I've been involved in other things with aircraft, though.
It's just incredible that the small airplane was the one that carried bombs to Hiroshima. You would think that it would be a lot bigger, but the one on the right is the latter, the successor that is even huge. Bigger.
Yes. And a lot of horsepower.
It's always amazed me, our Department of Defense, the aircraft and the American ingenuity when it comes to mechanics, engineering, type of science. It's just overwhelmingly impressive. So can you, Dan, move to the next picture?
So here's another, remember we connected through cars. This is actually me. This is 22 years ago. I just visited one of the racetracks that I frequented out here when I was in Phoenix. It's actually in Chandler, Arizona. They let me go out on the starting line by myself, and I went and visited again. But this is me in National Hot Rod Association competition. I drove a Super Comp dragster. That car was capable of going 0 to 60 in just over a second.
Wow.
So a lot of acceleration, but again, my dad, each of us got a car for high school graduation, but we had to rebuild it with my dad to learn how to work on cars.
Right. So what's Ferrari like? Right.
Well, Ferrari's probably 3.5, 0 to 60 in 3.5 or 4 seconds. And this is much faster.
This is a drag race, right?
Yes.
And that's your name right on the side of the drag race car.
Yes, and I raced all over the West Coast. I was gone 14 weeks a year back in the 90s, racing all over. As far east as Denver and far south as Pomona, Phoenix, and the Bay Area and the Northwest, Canada.
Were you a lawyer, or were you still a student when this is happening? This was a while back.
I was a lawyer during this time. I had my own law firm at the time, so that's why I had some flexibility.
So, a little history. I didn't get a chance to cover some of your background. I think the last time you were on the show, you shared with our audience a little bit about your, legal practice, your before the bench. Can you touch on that?
Sure.
Legacy
I was a civil lawyer. I my first part of my career, I defended people who got sued. The insurance companies would hire me. That was the first part of my career. Then I owned a mediation company for 2 years. And then I went on with a large law firm in Seattle, and I did products liability, aerospace. I did mass torts, which I helped manage discovery for 15,000 lawsuits nationwide. I worked on multi-million-dollar construction jobs where to take a deposition, you'd have to have 25 chairs in the room because there was 25, 30 parties involved in the litigation, and then ultimately became a trial judge. I was president of the school board in Federal Way, and the court was having some difficulties, so I went in and went from working on high-level cases to traffic and misdemeanors, but it's one of the best things I've ever done. Very fulfilling.
Right, and you were president of the Federal Way School Board for a time.
Right, and the funding litigation you heard about in Washington, I started it back in 2006.
What does that one do?
That was where the funding was inadequate for schools. So I started with the Federal Way Fair Funding lawsuit, and then it blossomed into McCleary and everything else. So.
And how did you segue, and how did you become a judge in the Federal Way court?
Well, they trusted me, I think, to come over and help make the court better. And so I volunteered, and they asked me to come over, and I agreed. And it's like I said, it's one of the better things I've done. It's very rewarding seeing people be successful. There's also times when it's frustrating,
right?
But ultimately, it's very rewarding.
Right. Now, share with us about how long you've been on the bench there, and what kind of cases you listen to in Federal Way.
Sure, I've been on the bench now a little over 13 years, and the kind of cases we hear are domestic violence, DUI, theft, those kind of things. And this picture is my involvement in the community too. And I go to different high schools and different elementary schools, middle schools, and speak. And this is a picture from a class at Auburn High School, a special needs class.
Right.
So I take robes with me so that all the students can wear robes and get a feel and hold the gavel and hit the gavel and do all that stuff like a judge. And with me speaking to the same class in 2019.
And here you are at the Auburn High School special needs class in 2019. Just in case people don't have a visual access, because the radio show, some people just listen to it on the airwave or digital radio, so they may not see. I'm going to do a little captioning for them. We're showing a picture of Judge Larson at Auburn High School special needs class in 2019, where he's in a black robe in a room full of students listening to him talking. So what are you talking about here?
Well, just what it's like to be a judge, and then answering questions mostly, and then getting students to get a feel of the justice system and how it works, and then
civic duty.
A lot of times it's questions that might affect them personally. But, I can't get into too much specifics. I can't give legal advice, but I can certainly do things I feel it's my duty to kind of help people understand the system better. And I'm involved. I've been involved with the special needs community for over 10 years now. And that's another rewarding thing I do. So it's something that, and I've taught, helped teach a class called Street Law at Todd Beamer High School. I helped teach that for 10 years. And so civics is very important to me, having people understand government.
Dan, can you show the next picture?
This is the actual, in June of 2011, we started the Action Club of Federal Way, and it's a club through Kiwanis. And the reason there's a K in Action is because the K stands for Kiwanis. And it's a service club, just like a Kiwanis, but it's for people with special needs, Down syndrome, any kind of disability that somebody might have, or other abilities somebody might have. The people that participate are close enough that if at my funeral, they'll let them sit, they consider it my family. I don't want to die soon, but I consider them family. And we meet once a month, and everything's so real and everything's so cool.
Now, Kiana Club, you told me what earlier that they support special needs youth.
We support all kinds of things. Kiwanis is a service club that's been around for over 100 years, and basically it's raising money in the community. We do scholarships for high schools. I've been sponsoring vocational technical scholarships for people who want to go into the trades. I've been sponsoring those now, I think, for 12 years in honor of my parents and my wife's parents. And we've been doing that for about 12 years. And except the last 2 years, there hasn't been any action on it. Nobody's applied, and there really hasn't been any push for it. So about the last 2 years, there hasn't been any given. But and so Kiwanis does all kinds of things in the community, and we run the concession stands at the stadium to raise money to do things, and we support things like chorale and orchestra and all kinds of different things.
Right. And you were president of this club for a time.
I've been president twice of the club, and been on the board a number of years, and one of the founders of our foundation, the foundation the charitable foundation we have.
Dan, can you show the next photo? See what we have next.
Oh, this is a good story because I helped get robotics. Actually, the people from First Robotics came and spoke to Kiwanis, and they couldn't get into the schools. So I introduced them to some folks, and they got into the schools, and then they got grants from the state, but they were about to lose the grant because they didn't have a coach for Federal Way High School, which is where I went.
Right.
So I said, well, just put my name down until you find a coach. Well, 6 months later, and going to the World Championships in St. Louis as a rookie team, because we came in second in the regions, the entire Washington State. We went and competed against 400 teams from all over the world in St. Louis. This is the only year I coached, and the only year they've ever gone to the World Championships. But it was kind of cool, and that's the robot that robot throws frisbees, and we had to build it from scratch. And the students had to do it with some of my old drag racing buddies and like three Boeing engineers, and so like I said, 6 months and about $1,500 of my own money later. You can see I'm one of the sponsors. We were in St. Louis, and
wow.
It was just cool.
That's sound very exciting. You have to like engine and robots to win, and it sounds like you lead them to some fun and achievements type of outcome. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, you can see the smile on my face. Yeah. Anyway.
Dan, can you show the next picture? What do you do here?
Well, this was a mock trial competition that my court had hosted for 10 years. It outgrew our court, so we don't do it anymore. But it's basically through the YMCA, and it's statewide. And we hosted the South King County mock trial competition. So high schools from all over the area. This is just part of the students that were involved, and some of the students.
That's a lot of people.
Some of the students do a better job presenting their cases than some of the lawyers in court. And I hope I didn't offend any of the lawyers, but I'm just complimentary to the students because they just did an excellent job. And basically I just coordinated it and got it there into so that the students could do their business, and they did a great job. And,
this is very important because you're giving the community and the students an opportunity to practice in a real courtroom and have a sense of, Dan said he did mock trial. Dan is our, he's our a co-producer, and he's behind the scene helping us, showing the slideshow, making things happen. So I want to make sure to acknowledge.
He probably did it in Seattle with Judge Downing and. Yes.
Yeah, well, he did a mock trial when he was in elementary school.
Okay. Well,
interesting experience, he said.
These are high school students, but they do mock trials in grade school and middle school too.
All right, all right. So yeah, this is great. Can you show me the next picture, Dan? Okay, what are you doing here?
I'm also a guardian for Puget Sound Honor Flight. You can see me in the back, kind of on the left there. This is at the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. We escort This is mostly World War II veterans that are here. This is the first time I went, and then now we are doing Vietnam War veterans. And I bet you if they're South Vietnam veterans, I bet you that actually were in the South Vietnam military. I bet you if they tried to sign up through Puget Sound Honor Flight, they'd be eligible. And if not, I can certainly talk to the folks about that. But
that would be great.
This is a three-day whirlwind tour of Washington, D.C., where we take veterans back, and I meet perfect strangers. I never met them before. They're people I've never met, and then I escort them. Sometimes they have to be they're wheelchair bound, and other times it's just walking around with them and having just making sure their needs are met. And that's my job, is to make sure their needs are met for the weekend and serving them.
Right.
And this is just part of the group. We transport about 100 people cross country, and so this is a very cool thing. That we haven't done it. They're starting to do it again, but I haven't done it the last couple of years.
I would love to introduce you with some Vietnamese Vietnamese, but now living in America, veterans from the South Vietnam, because that was a war that we want to remember.
Yeah, I think I got contacts with the folks there, and I think if we set it up, I think they might consider including some of the members of the South Vietnam military.
That'd be awesome. Okay, we got 2 minutes left. Dan, can you show the next
and I'll whisk through this as fast as I can.
Yeah, we're gonna move fast through the next few photos.
Okay, that's just me on the bench, and that's just.
I visited your courtroom there.
Yes, and then
I got the opportunity to do a survey of the courtroom where Judge Larson presides in. He's the chief. What is your title there?
Presiding judge, but there's just two of us, and I treat it like a partnership.
Right.
So it's and so I think the next photo is I don't know what the next photo is.
Dan, can you move to the next one?
Oh.
No.
That must be it. There it is. The other thing I did aviation is regarding aviation. My son actually got me involved. I was just going to be the chauffeur. And here I am. I'm actually director of emergency services for the Civil Air Patrol, which is the U.S. Air Force Auxiliary. So we did air search and rescue, disaster relief. I got out of that in 2012 is when I stopped doing that. But I was a major. I call it a Kentucky major because you don't get paid and it's not a real rank, but it's the official auxiliary of the Air Force though. And so we did things also asymmetric warfare training with the military, and where we would be in support capacity, pretending to be different populations, if that type of thing. So it was really fun to be able to do that. And also when if you ever heard about an aircraft that was missing, we were probably out looking for it.
Search for them. Well, that's it, folks. Their judges don't just come on the bench and hear cases. They have a life behind the scene that is very interesting, and they're helpful and productive members of the community, training, mentoring the next generation, like Judge Larson here. I appreciate you showing us some of your outside of the bench contribution and hobbies and interests to give the human touch to the rope behind the bench. So thank you so much for coming on Afternoons with Monique today and sharing with our audience who you are outside of listening to cases in Federal Way.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's my pleasure having you on. So next month, we are going to honor Asian Heritage Month. So I will have several members of the community, leaders of the Asian American community, come on Afternoons with Monique to share with our audience what they've been up to, what their work is about, and how they support the community. Our next episode, Bruce Harrell Bruce Hill of the past president of the Seattle City Council will be on our show to talk about his candidacy for, I believe it is mayor of Seattle position, and also to share with us his perspective, his platform. So tune in next Thursday at 1 p.m. to see Bruce Harrell on our show. And then following after that, we also have Wachimaya former CEO Tomio Moriguchi and Willan Liu, who is a current board member for OCA and also past director for the McDonald Corporation. He's retired now, but he has been a community member of the Asian American community for a long time. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on our show. Next, we have on Rainier Avenue Radio is Shatter the Glass Ceiling. Please stay on and listen to the next episode. This is Monique Lee with Rainier Avenue Radio, Afternoons with Monique, signing off. Thank you very much.
This is Paul Pearson.